All right. So here, let's take a look at the second one. And stinking, I don't have numbers on these, do I? So this second one, once again, it's got y-intercept and slope. Focus in on the slope first. So slope is 2, so the number in front of x has to be a positive 2. And I'm hoping y'all have already found the answer. Y'all got it? What'd you get? C, very good. So the only one that has that that slope, and like I said, if the most common wrong answer is this one right here, if y'all can figure out why, because kids see the 3 and the 2 and see a 3 and a 2 here, and that's how they get you. Is instead of going just what's the slope, you're like, oh, 3 and 2. Oh, look, there's a 3 and 2. Boom, we're done. And then you pick the wrong answer. And so I don't know that you pick it with as much excitement as what I just picked it, but you know, it's that's just how they get you. Is they get you thinking that you found it and you really haven't. So if you focus in on one thing, and that's one of those test taking skills. It may not seem important, but that's a test taking skill. Have you ever taken a test and you thought you did well on it? You're like, oh yes, I did well on this. You get your score back and it sucks. You know, it's probably because of stuff like that where they trick you. And so, you know, you just got to learn that, yeah, these multiple choice tests are great, but they are going to try to trick you. All right, I'm going to fly through these next two. They're kind of tough to realize some stuff unless you're just really good at it. So first off, there's a lot of words here, and I hate to read. Y'all know I hate to read. I trained myself to look for keywords. So I do want you to know that the word per is a key word. So notice in both of these, the word per to me stands out. Per is kind of another word for slope. And so the $15 per week means that 15 is my slope. So I'm looking for an answer that has 15 in front of X. And so at that point, there's only one that has 15 in front of X, and that's B on this one. Now over here, they give all but one has 0.75 in front of X, or in this case, N. So it's definitely not going to be J because 0.75 is not in front of X. I also know it's not H because $2 is not with the word. It's not just per, it's per, each, or every. And I don't see per, each, or every on any of these. So there should not be an N next to that. So this $2 is what we call a flat fee or just a fee. And it's a one-time charge. So a one-time charge is just listed once. It's a y-intercept. And so the answer's got to be G. There is a $2 charge, but it's not per mile or per week or something where you got to put it next to a letter. So those are, you know, a lot of kids end up guessing C on those just because they struggle with it. So I just don't want to spend too much time on it. All right, so here's the big, so one of the things that I do is I specialize in helping kids who can't pass the STAR test, all right? And so during the summer, if you have not passed the STAR test, guess who you get to come to? Me. And so every year, obviously I get kids that failed their freshman year and they come during the summer to me. But every year I always get kids who are seniors and they need to graduate. Matter of fact, it's really sad because if you come to me during the summer because you haven't passed the STAR test, you know what that means? It means you didn't get to walk the stage and graduate with all your friends. And, you know, every year I get seniors that, you know, they've taken this test 6, 7, 8 times and have failed the STAR test every time. And, you know, they're coming to me really what seems like their last time and trying to pass their test. Now, on the good end, in the summer, I am perfect. I've never had a kid fail in the summer, ever. Okay. And so the little strategies and the little things that I teach, they work. Okay. And here's the awesome part though. Like the last kid that I had that was a senior 2 summers ago, because last summer we didn't do it, but 2 summers ago, I had a kid come in. He had taken this test 8 times. 8 times, and failed it every single time. Took me during the summer, okay, and I taught him what, the certain things I teach y'all, and I'm leading up to the fact that what I'm about to teach you is huge. Guys, he scored meets. He made a B on the test, failed it 8 times, and then made a B on the test using these tricks right here. So if you're really good with the calculator and stuff like that, and you might be able to do this by hand, and it's awesome that you can do it by hand, but every time you do it by hand, there's a shot. Guys, I have a degree in math, and I screw up all the time working it out by hand. Does that make sense? So every time you work it out by hand, and I think it's good to learn to work it out by hand, but when it comes test time, you want guarantees. All this work, you want to guarantee that you're going to pass. And so, like this right here, I can teach you how to work this out by hand. It takes about a half a page of paper to work it out by hand. In a half a page of paper, what's the chance that you're going to forget a negative sign? That you're going to add something together wrong? Do you see what I'm saying? There's all these little things that could go wrong. And then we end up, even though we know what we're doing, we end up getting the wrong answer. So that's why I teach these little tricks right here. And so this is one of my main tricks, okay? So this is something that the state of Texas considers the question we're about to do to be a level 3. So there's 3 levels: 1 easy, 2 medium, 3 would be hard, okay? They consider this to be a level 3, and they're right if you're working it out by hand. But if you have this calculator, this for us now becomes a level 1. Now, when I call it a level 1 and I call it easy, it's not necessarily quick. It takes a little bit of time, but it's all calculator. And when you get this, you're guaranteed that this is your answer, okay? The only mistake that I've seen kids make is they type stuff in wrong. So let's just say, like, look at A. We're going to end up typing A into the calculator. Well, let's say you accidentally type it in wrong, and you think you typed in -7 minus 18, but you forgot this negative. And what you really typed in was D, and it works. And you're thinking, oh, the answer is A, but it's actually D because you typed in the wrong thing. You actually typed in D. So that's the only mistake I've seen kids make, is that they think they typed in A, but they really typed in D, and then, it works, and they think it's A when it's really D. All right. So obviously with this, the most important thing is that you type this in correctly. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Here's our rule. Anytime we see a y equals, which we see y equals right here, and notice where the y equals is at. It's not in the problem. It's in the answer. So do y'all remember the other day I was talking about not having a hard focus? A hard focus is like where you just see, like I would just see the question. I wouldn't even see the answers. And it was probably the day that you corrected me. You saw the answers and you did a great job going, or if you just look at the answers. Remember that? So that's what we want to do. Good test takers are always looking not just at their problem, but their answers. You see y equals in your answers and you see points. All we got to do is type these in and check and see which of these contain both of these points. And if it contains both of these points, that's our answer. But you got to check both points. All right, so we got our y equals. We're going to go plug in A into the calculator. So we're going to go to graph. So anytime we have y equals, that's a graphs thing. And we're going to type in, lost my spot, minus 7x minus 18. We're going to hit enter. Now, right now, I don't have anything really to do other than we're looking for these points. So when we're looking for points, we're going to hit menu 5-1. So menu 5-1. Now, this is not magic pixie dust. This is not some magical answer right here. But this allows me to type in the x. Remember, the x is first. So we're going to type in that -3 and hit enter. All right, so y'all see it says -3, +3. I need it to say -3, -3. So this is not my answer. However, when we get the right number but the wrong sign, we have a little trick up our sleeve to make life easier, okay? So we got the right number, just the wrong sign. Change both of your signs. So when I typed this in, I had a -7 and a -18. I'm going to change both of these now to positive. That would make me skip down to C. Let's try C. Now, the easiest thing for me to do is to hit tab and go up. If you're not going to hit tab and go up, start a brand new graph. You don't want two graphs on this at the same time when you're trying to find points, okay? Then I'm going to go and edit this to a plus and edit that and delete that minus right there. So I got a +7 and a +18. Like I said, if you're not going to hit tab and go up and edit, then I would start a brand new graph. All right, so we hit enter, menu 5-1. And look at this, we got -3 and -3. That's what we're looking for, but that doesn't guarantee it's our answer. There were 2 points. There are a million equations in the world that contain this point right here, but there's only one equation in the world that contains -3, -3, and -2, 4. So we're going to type in -2. I got -2, +4. This is now guaranteed to be my answer. All right, so a lot of talking from me to do something that's actually pretty quick, okay? So now I will tell you, it's not bad to start a brand new graph every time on these, but when there's fractions, and I think, yeah, today, like that bottom right one, those fractions, it is so much easier to edit those questions than to retype all of those. All right, so once again, what do we see that tells us we can do this? We see y equals in our answers and then points here. So we're going to type these in and just check these points. So you're going to type in 2x minus 6, hit enter, menu 5-1. All right, so we're typing in, and I think the thing that most kids struggle on is they hit menu 5-1 and they're like, oh, my point's not up there. And it's like, no, you got to type in the x. All right, so we're going to type in 2 and see if we get 2, 2. We didn't, but it's close. It's 2, -2. So what's the secret to switch the sign of this right here? Switch both of your symbols. So I typed in a +2x and a -6. I'm going to switch both of those. Oh, it actually looks like C again. A -2x and a +6. Now, if you don't know that little trick, that's fine. You just have to keep typing each one in until you find the one that gives us our answer, okay? So we're going to type in, I'm going to switch my signs actually. So I'm going to hit tab and go up. And I'm going to switch this to a plus, switch that to a minus, hit enter, menu 5-1. And you can see it remembered the 2, 2 right there. So that's correct. And then we're going to type in 1 and see if we have 1, 4. And yep, we do. So C is our answer. How y'all feel about that? Y'all feel okay with that? All right. You doing all right with that? Okay. All right. Now, a table is nothing but points. Now, I know they give us 4, and the points here with the way the table's written, you're checking like this. You're going to type in -1 and check 4. Now, do we have to check all of these? No, but you at least have to check 2, okay? Remember, there's a million equations in the world that contain like this 1 point. There's actually an infinite amount of equations, but I just like to round it to a million, okay? But there's only one equation that contains both of these. And if you want to check them all, you can, okay? And then, of course, what do you see right here? We see all these y equals. So we're typing in these, and then we're going to type in the x and see if we get the y. All right, so I'm going to type in A. So we'll go to our calculator. Always start brand new graphs. Matter of fact, I would stay away from Scratchpad, okay? Scratchpad calculate, okay. All right, it's all right. Scratchpad graph screws up way too much, okay? So I would always start a brand new. It's not to say you can't use Scratchpad, but I'm just telling you, I have way too many kids that are like, oh, something's wrong here. And I look at it and they're on Scratchpad. I'm like, if you go open up a new one of these, then it'll be fine. All right, so we're going to type in x minus 5. So x minus 5. You're only typing in what comes after the equal sign. hit enter, menu 5-1. All right, so we're typing in the X. So the X was -1, so we're going to type in -1 and hit enter. And when I type that in, I get -1, -6. I should be getting 4. So this is not it. All right, the difference between A and B is there's now a negative in front of X. So I'm going to hit tab. I'm going to go up, and I'm just going to add a negative right there. So just tab and go up, and then just edit the equation you just typed in. Hit enter, menu 5-1. And okay, I got -1, -4. So once again, I got the right number, but the wrong sign right here. So that's not our answer, but I want to change the signs of both of these. And it looks like we got C. Changes that to a positive, that to a positive. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to change this to a plus and that to a positive, hit enter, menu 5-1. And you can see we got that -1 and 4 right there. Okay. And then we're going to type in -3. And we got the -3 and 2. So we got those first 2 points. If you want to keep typing in, I get some kids like, no, coach, I'm checking all of them. Man, that's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. But really, you just have to make sure you check 2. Just don't fall into the trap of just checking 1, because they will try to trick you. They'll make one of these work, and then you're like, woohoo, that's my answer. And then the next one doesn't. All right. So the answer here was C. Oh, if you ever forget what you typed in, once again, hit tab and go up, and you can see what you typed in. All right, right here, this is definitely where I would not open a brand new graph every time. You're more than welcome to do it, but I would be hitting tab and going up, because typing in these fractions is kind of a pain in the butt. So once again, we see y equals with points. So we're going to go type this in. So go to graphs, control divide gives me my fraction bars. So 2/5x plus control divide 3/5. Hit enter. Menu 5-1. And remember, this doesn't tell me anything, but it allows me to type in my x's. So my x's, I see 1, hit enter. Oh, I see 1, 1. Are we going to get lucky here? Is it A? We're going to type in -4, hit enter, and -4, -1. All right, right there. So notice, okay, like I said here, the answer is A. So I always get these kids that are like, you know, man, it seems like every time I do this, the answer is always, you know, C or D or something like that. So they're like, I'm going to get smart. I'm going to start doing D first. And I swear, the instant you do that, A is going to be the answer. So what I do is I just always start at A, work at B. Sometimes you get lucky, it's A. You know, sometimes you're unlucky, it's D. But if you skip around, man, or at least if you're like me, I'm just unlucky. So I skip around, and I'm always seem to do do it in the worst possible order. Okay, now this makes it a little nicer. So you remember a while ago, I told you anytime that we have slope, take care of that slope first, right? So look right here, they give us the slope and a point. Now, yes, we want to check that point, but here's the thing. It has to have that slope. So anytime that we have slopes next to X, check that first. Which of these do not have a -4/3 next to X? B doesn't. B has a +4/3, and C doesn't. Now, you only have to check 2 answers instead of 4. Does that make sense? So we definitely want to make sure if they give us a slope, almost always it eliminates 2 answers. So eliminate those 2 answers, and now you're just checking 2 of these. All right. So open up a brand new graph. We've got control divide. And we are minus 4 over 3 x. Sorry, I lost my spot. Minus 20 over 3. Okay, hit enter, menu 5-1. And then we're only checking 1 point this time. Because we checked slope, we only got to check 1 point. So we're typing in -8, hit enter, and I got -8, positive 4. And so that's what we were looking for right here. So yep, A is our answer. All right, so right here, once again, they give us the slope. Anytime they give you slope, we're going to go eliminate stuff. So it has to have a -7. B does not have a -7. C does not have a -7. So now we're testing these two. So I'm going to go type in A. So start a brand new one. So we got -7x minus 66. Hit enter. Menu 5-1, and we are typing in -8. And yep, that's it right there. -8, -10 right there. So the answer is A. All right, so these next two, before we move on, are y'all still feel pretty good with this stuff? Makes it pretty easy, I hope. Like I said, what I love about these questions is, like, to Texas or to the STAR test, they think these are the ones that are going to get you. And yet actually they end up being the ones that become the ones that we depend on. And so, you know, usually you're going to have like at least 3, 4, maybe 5 questions like this that we can type in. And I know that probably doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about all the other easy questions that we're going to have, they start to add up. And next thing you know, you're at 25, 26, 27, 28 easy questions. And that's just the easy questions, you know? And so just makes it so much easier when you can get that and pass. All right. This next one is not calculator. This is super, super easy. We worked on this on Friday, but we've probably forgotten that we even did this on Friday because we had a weekend. So when I look at this, I notice that it has a slope of 0. Now, 0 is special. Remember on Friday, we talked about special lines, special equations. Most lines have an X and a Y. Most lines are diagonal. You know, most lines have a number for the slope other than 0 or undefined. Well, you can see here that the slope here is 0. So that's special. So ding, ding, ding. These are my special stuff right here. So 0 looks like an O. So is it connected to Hoy or Bucks? 0 would be connected to Hoy. Does that make sense? So that means that it's a horizontal line. Well, we don't have a line here, so that doesn't help. It's a 0 slope. And this means the only letter that's allowed in my equation is the letter Y. So when you look at your answers, there's 2 answers that have an X. B and D have an X. You can mark those off. This Y right here says I'm only allowed to have Y's in my answer. And because when we say it's only Y's, it can only be the Y coordinate as well. So what's the Y coordinate? 6 is the Y coordinate of my point right here. So this right here, I'm going to write this down just for people online that probably couldn't hear me. So the fact that we had a 0 slope right here meant that this was Hoy. And then because it's Hoy, we're only allowed to have Y. It's everything Y. So B has an X, so we can't have that. D has an X, we can't have that. It's only allowed to have Y's. So you can see A and C only have Y's. It's also only the Y coordinate, which is 6. And so it has to be Y equals 6, which is A. Once you get those down, these go really, really quick. So right here, we have an undefined slope. Well, that's a special slope. So does it connect to Hoy or Vux? This connects with Vux because it's got a U in it right there. that undefined slope is the u. So if it's Vux, then the x in Vux means I'm only allowed to have x's. So you can mark off anything with a y. Well, that's going to get rid of a lot here. So obviously the answer is D. I do want you to see, however, that it uses the x coordinate as well. It's everything x. So Hoi is everything y, Vux is everything x. So hopefully that, we'll get a little bit better at that. A little bit better, just the more we look at that poster, you'll connect Hoi and Vux, and Hoi, anything that's connected to Hoi and Vux should be pretty easy for us. All right. So now I want to talk about, this is semester 2 stuff, okay? So we just finished, so right now we're on unit 7 in our second semester class, right? And we're working on quadratics. Y'all are probably doing like maybe the quadratic formula. Hopefully you're learning those attributes right there. Those attributes are huge. My students did not do well. We took an attributes quiz. They did not do well. So today we're doing a little paper that's just hitting attributes really hard. But in the unit before, we were doing factoring. How good are y'all at factoring? Like, can y'all factor this right here? Can't factor it? You think you can factor it? Okay. So factoring to me was hard. Depending on who you have, did y'all's teachers teach slide and divide as well? No slide and divide. They did the box method, right? So you make your box and okay. How are you at that? You good at that? Yeah, okay. Did y'all do slide and divide? What'd y'all do? Oh, okay. So here's the thing. Anytime, y'all know so far this year, I've taught y'all anytime we see y equals or we see 2 letters that make a y, right? We can plug it into graphs. So here's a new rule, and this works for a ton of different stuff. Now, it's easy in terms of the fact that we get to use the calculator. It's hard because there's a lot we have to type in, and you got to type it in right. But anytime there is no equal sign, okay? And it still looks like an equation. So you can see this looks like an equation, but there's no equal sign. My answers look like, miniature equations, but there's no equal sign. Then we can type these into the calculator, okay? Now, there's a couple of things you can do here, and I'm going to quickly talk about one of them, but I'm really going to focus in on just the basic, okay? Now, when you type this into graphs, you can only use the letter X. So when I have these ends right here, I have to switch them to X. So do me a favor, grab your calculator. I want you to open up a brand new graph, and we're going to type in x squared, so x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now, one of the things that hopefully at some point you're being taught is these are called zeros right here where it crosses the x-axis. So hopefully, I've actually taught that to you as well. But hopefully one of the things that you are learning is that factors are things in parentheses, are always opposite zeros. So these are zeros right here. Factors are opposite. So when I count this, I count -1, -2, and then -3, -4. This is crossing at -2 and -4. Those are my zeros. Factors are going to be the opposite. So my answer should have a +2 and a +4. So when you look at your answers, the answer that has a +2 and a +4 would be this one right here. Now, that's awesome if we can use that. But here's the big ultimate trick. The way you check and see if your answer's right is we're going to type this into the calculator. If it changes the color of my graph, it's guaranteed to be right. So watch this real quick. I'm going to go type in C. So I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to type in parentheses x plus 2, close parentheses, parentheses x plus 4. Now, Mine, now yours might be a different color than mine, but mine is this ugly brown color right now, right? If I keep my eyes on this, all you got to do is tell me if this graph goes right on top of it and changes the color of it. So I hit enter, and now it changed to what? Blue. If it changes color, then this is my answer right here. And I'm guaranteed for this to be my answer, okay? And so the answer here would be C. So what would it look like if this wasn't the answer? So y'all know that this is the answer now. What would it look like if it's not the answer? So I'm just going to go change this real quick. I'm going to show you what one that's not the answer would look like. So let's say that we would have typed in A. So if I would have typed in A, it would have looked like this. So here's the rule. As long as I see my original color, this brown right here, I have not found my answer. It has to make my original color go away. And C made it go away, so C was the answer, okay? All right, so let's take a look at this. So take a look at this one. Now this one, unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to use our zeros at all. So we're gonna go type this in. Now notice, there's no equal sign here. So no equal sign, then we can go type this in. So I'm gonna start a brand new one. We're not using the letter M. We're still using X, so 10x squared minus 11x plus 3. Now, when I look at this, I can't tell where that's touching right there, okay? So I don't know. The only thing I know, and it really looks like it's just touching once, but it has to be touching twice. I just need to zoom in to see it touch twice. Is right now, this is only on the positive side of the X. So chances are, you know, I'm gonna have either two positive or two negative answers. So if I'm gonna check something, I'm probably checking either B or I'm checking D, okay? Now in the end, if you have no idea, you just start typing in A and see if it changes the color. You type in B, see if it changes the color. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm just going to pretend I have no idea real quick, just to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to type in A, and y'all tell me if this is the answer. So I'm going to hit tab. Now, I've got to leave my original. I'm not going up. I got to leave this original. As long as I see this red right here, then this is not my answer. So I'm going to type in A. So I'm going to go parentheses 2x plus 1, close parentheses, 5x minus 3. All right, so I'm watching my graph. I see red right now. I'm going to hit enter. I still see red. This is not my answer, okay? So I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to edit this. What's the difference between A and B? On B, they just switched this one right here to a negative. So I'm going to go over to this and switch that to a minus. All right, remember the original color was red. So here's my red right here. I'm going to keep an eye on the red, hit enter. The red is now gone. All I see is black. If you're not sure, you can take your mouse and roll over it, and it'll make it pop out. So sometimes kids are like, well, I might still see a little bit of red. So just roll your mouse over the graph, and it'll light up like one solid color, and you can tell what color is showing, okay? So the answer here would be B. Now, it also works. I'm going to come back here. Sorry, I'm going to have to make that turn around. It also works on like this stuff right here. There's no equal sign, okay? So you could type that in. You could type in all your answers, and see which one matches. It works on this right here. Now, here's the problem. These right here get so long, and the graphs sometimes get really weird. Okay, so that's the only bad thing with this. But it still works. Who cares what the graph looks like? Like I remember one time we saw this thing kind of look like a W. And kids are like, oh my God, what do I do? You just look at the color. I don't care what the graph looks like. But it does take a little bit of time to type all that in because these problems get somewhat big. So what I will tell you is that if you get problems that are just way too big, and you're just like, nope, it's too big. I'm not typing it in. That's fine. But take care of these smaller ones right here at least. Get those, all right? But in the end, if you'll take your time and type in all that stuff, then it should, you should be fine. All right. And then, okay. So this one right here is going to look a little weird. So notice I do not have an equal sign here, right? So we're going to type this in. But I want you to look how these are different. And also, I want you to see that this says it's only going to give us one factor, okay? Notice how both of these have two sets of parentheses. When there's two sets of parentheses, then this should match up perfectly. So the STAR test is like, we're going to make this even harder. We think kids can kind of cheat on this. So we're going to make this even harder. And they don't give us both of them. They just give us one. But that's okay. We can still find this answer. Okay, so even though they think they're getting us, they're not going to get us here. All right. So we're going to go type this in real quick. So go switch this to an X. So make sure you open a brand new graph. So we have 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. Hit enter. All right, so I get, my line's pink, but this is what we get right here. Now, I do see this crosses at -2, but none of my answers have a -2, does it? So this has got to be the one that we're looking for. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in our answers, just like we've been doing, right? So we're going to hit tab, and I'm going to type in 5x minus 3. Hit enter. Okay, how in the world is this U graph ever going to match up with a line graph? It's not. So on this one, when you have a U graph, but all of a sudden they're giving you a line, all of a sudden you need to be like, okay, these aren't going to match up. So how do I tell what my answer is? So I want you to remember that these right here are also called solutions. So remember, this is the x-intercept, the 0, and the solution. So the way we determine if this is the answer is they're going to have the same x-intercepts, the same solutions. But look, this crosses the x-axis here. It doesn't have the same one as these. This is not the answer, okay? All right, so let me back that off real quick. All right, so let's switch this to B. So I'm going to hit tab, go up, and I'm going to switch this to a plus sign. Hit enter. Ah, look at this. Do they have the exact, do they cross the x-axis at the same spot right here? Yes. Now, I get kids going, but what about this one? It only has to touch one of them. If it crosses the x-axis at the same spot, then on either one of them, then this is my answer. So the answer would be B. This is the one most kids struggle with. Obviously, the other one where it just has to make it change color is much, much easier. Okay, so this is the one that kids struggle with when there's only one factor. Okay, but all it has to do is cross the x-axis the same spot and you got your answer. All right, so just for those at home, I say this, nobody watches my videos from home. I'm always like talking like somebody's watching these. Nobody ever watches. All right, so we're going to type this one in now. So we're going to go start a brand new graph. We got 6x squared minus 11x plus 4. Now, I will tell you the downside to this is if like you're doing a worksheet in class and it's not multiple choice, does this little trick help you? This little trick doesn't help you if it's not multiple choice. The good news is on the STAR test, does this have to be multiple choice? It does. And that's why I teach this, is because, yeah, if you're doing a worksheet, you've actually got to be able, that's not multiple choice, you got to be able to work it out the long way. But as long as there's multiple choice, then this right here works. So we're going to hit tab. I'm going to type in A. -x minus 2, hit enter. Is that an answer right there? No, that's not an answer because remember, orange was our original color. It has to cross the x-axis, same spot. So hit tab, go up. What's the difference between A and B? It looks like they changed that 2 to a +2. Hit enter. I guess some kids are like, oh, look, it crosses it. That doesn't matter. Is this the answer? Do they touch the x-axis at the same spot? No, they do not touch the x-axis same spot. This is still not the answer. So hit tab, go up. This is totally different, so I'm going to delete all this and put 2x minus 1. What the crap? I don't know what happened there. Why is it doing that? Okay, well, mine screwed up real quick. I'm going to retype this real quick. Y'all are good. Did y'all figure out the answer by any chance? What'd you get? Are y'all still looking? Okay. All right, so we're typing in tab 2x minus 1. So I'm typing in C, hit enter. Right there. That crosses. So they both cross the x-axis right here. And that's what we're looking for. That's the key thing. They cross the x-axis, same spot, boom. That's our answer right there. So the answer would be C.